Hello, welcome, Cabbage here. In War of the Visions, let's do a level 99 review of Ruined Knight Sterne. And then this is probably, hopefully, going to be a shorter video than my usual level 99 reviews. And that's because I'm going to leave up the 89 review. And then that will act as like a basic review, looking at the skills and jobs one by one, talking about what kind of character he is. But in this video, let's think a little bit more deeply about him. And I have never thought this deeply about a character before, and please don't expect me to do this all the time, but I love Super Sterne. He's a lot of fun to use. Maybe if you looked at some of my recent arena or guild battle videos, then you've seen him in action. But where can we start? Let's talk about an evade build, and I think if you do go with the evade build for Super Sterne, you want to go as hard and as far as you can. Just going like halfway, you know, it's kind of similar to going halfway with Resistances or Defense Spirit. You want to stack up one defensive mechanism as high as you can get. If you are using Super Sterne with like a tank and a healer, that very traditional setup, then you wouldn't need to use him for evade. But if in like a team like this, where nobody's really supporting each other, everyone's kind of fighting for themselves, then you definitely want to get the evade up, I think. But you could equip this. This is a recent MR card, which will raise evade for your party. And you could also use Siren. Although this one's better for Sterne because it has better attack stats and then raises slash attack. And then you could use Birth of New Life or whatever this one's called. This will raise luck on your party. And then whatever vision card that can raise the agility of your party. That also contributes to evade. And then if you want to go even further, you could do the Tetrasilphid Esper on Super Sterne. And then Mithril Armor, this might be one of the best pieces of evade armor for him. You could also do the Mithril Helmet. And then later, when stat stacking comes to global, you'll be able to equip two or more pieces, in order to give you the same stat. The thing about the sword, though, is that you always want to use a regular sword. And there's only one Trustmaster Greatsword, and that is a Shuzelt, and that has attack of under 100, so I don't know if you want to use that very much. So that just leaves the Trustmaster to get more evade. But here options are like regular Sterne's armor, you could use Warrior of Light's Gauntlet, stuff like that. So maybe have a look there at what you got. And then when you equip him, you want to give him this. This is the evade up, and then also the Samurai skill, which raises both evade and attack. And then for the reaction ability, he has a couple options. This is Third Eye, I think, and then this is the Assassin one, which will raise evade, both of which come from getting hit first. But like with any damage dealer that you build, anytime you give more defense to one of them, you're taking away from their offense. And you want to use Super Sterne for offense, so maybe you can experiment with stuff and then see where is a good balance for your playstyle. Okay, another way to build a Super Sterne, this was showcased in my previous video, but that was in a slash resistance build. And then a Super Sterne, when he starts, he will have a 20% slash resistance. And I consider anybody 15 and up a good candidate for a slash resistance team. So I have these three guys here. I also mentioned Ramza, Thancred, Kirufe. You could use the MR of Ramada, actually. She has good slash resistance. And then she also has the Spellblade subjob with the Attract spell, so she could possibly be your tank on your slash resistance team. That might be interesting to Justin. But the interesting thing about Super Sterne is that there is the Runeblade. This is a broadsword or greatsword, where if you get the plus value, you will get slash resistance in there. And then since you can only take slash resistance from one piece of equipment, that frees up your other stuff to use whatever you like. So you're not obligated to use Platinum Helmet or Golden Armor with him. So instead you could give him a Ribbon. This will give him some evade, of course, for his build. Otherwise, you could give him this one for some accuracy and some elemental resistance. Or some of these guys for some status resistance. And then, this is very interesting to consider, but this is a Gracia's Trustmaster. This is a heavy armor, and pretty decent stats all around. But as usual, the interesting thing is the active ability. This will restore some of your AP, and then raise your slash resistance for 3 turns. And then I've been trying to level this up. I will spend money to get the pots to max this. But I have it at level 14 here, and then this will raise your slash resistance by 11 for 3 turns. So that's kind of crazy. And then, since it doesn't have the slash resistance as a bonus stat, like the Rune Blade here, it won't conflict with that, so you can use both of them together. But here, if we look at the slash resistance that he has now, 68. So if you added 11 to that from the Gurasura buff, that would be 79, almost 80. If I wanted to, I could replace the Iron Giant vision card with the Snow White Guard vision card, and then put the Iron Giant over here. And I'm getting 25 from the Demon's Wall. So now we're looking at 83, and then you think about the Gurasura buff on there. Now you're talking about 94, and then if you had the UR vision card instead of the Iron Giant, you can get an extra 5 slash resistance there. So what is that, 99 that we're at now? So you can give Super Sterne almost 100% slash resistance, regardless of map. That is insane. But again, like I said earlier, if you go a little bit too heavy on defense, you really take away from his offense. So I use like a 65% slash resistance build in the last arena video, and that worked pretty well. So yeah, you don't have to go whole hog there. So let's put the Iron Giant back on him, and it's good to put it on him because the personal ability is the slash attack up. And it's kind of easy to miss, but if you think about it, if you kind of investigate it, you see that a lot of the stuff in the game is designed to make Sterne and Super Sterne better. It just adds more evidence to my theory that the developers really like Sterne, so they keep building the game around him, including like high difficulty content. But if you are not interested in making a slash resistance build, you just want to damage from him, then definitely Golden Blade is going to be better. You can get like 200 over 200 attack on that maxed, and then with the plus levels you'll get, what is it, up to 15 extra slash attack, so yeah, that's how you get more damage out of him. That would be the better sword to use him on if you're using him with the tank or healer setup. Another possibility would be to use Super Sterne with 2 other bruisers, and that might work out. Okay, the last thing I wanted to talk about was AP on Super Sterne. And then I've said this before, but I think like maybe the number one decision that you want to make before you bring Super Sterne into battle is if you want to turn Hazard Crash on or off. And there it is. Decent range, very nice area of effect, very expensive, but it has a defense break and then very good damage on everybody in there. And again, if you've seen my recent videos of him, you know it's devastating. But if you did want to use this in battle, it would be a good idea to know how much AP he has, and then like what you can give him to give him more AP, and then think about like, you know, in how many turns can he get the attack out. So here we can see that he can only use it twice per battle. But I went through and then I tested all different kinds of setups for Super Sterne to see how quickly he could get out those 2 hazard breaks. And it's all a case of his AP. But if you had nothing at all special equipped on him, like turn 1 he'd use a TP skill, turn 2 he'd use Hazard Crash, turn 3 he'd use a TP skill, turn 4 he'd use another TP skill, and then turn 5 finally he would have access to the second hazard break. So if you did want to really focus on using hazard break, having nothing special maybe would not be ideal. But there are some options open to us. We can equip this one. This is gained AP up. And then there's also Gurasura's armor. And then Orodoa's apron, and then Jesus' bells. Those are kind of the 3 options that we have for Trustmasters. And then if you equip any of those, well, let's forget about Jesus' bells for a second. If you equip any of the 3 things, the AP support skill, Orodoa's apron, or Gudasuda's armor, then you're still getting hazard breaks only out in 5 turns, those 2 uses. It's not until you combine 2 of them, if you use Sterne's AP up support ability, plus one of these 3, that you're going to get hazard break, the 2 hazard breaks out in 4 turns. But if you use Jesus Bells, you can just get it out in 3 turns, no problem. So that just goes to show how powerful the Jesus Bells are. So I did say this in the previous video. If you do not have Orodo's Apron or Jesus Bells, or now I'm guessing adding Gurasuda's armor, then you might want to consider turning off Hazard Break and then focusing on his other abilities, like Hien, Mighty Break, Catastrophe, all of which are still very, very good. And then speaking of Catastrophe, I kind of feel like this is his true finisher. This does have a higher multiplier than Hazard Break, actually, and then it has the Light Slayer, so especially if you're going for light units, this is going to do the more damage in the end. But Hazard Break still works great as like an opening attack, or like helping you close the gap, and then breaking the defense, and then setting you up for Catastrophe. Of course, if you take down guys with Hazard Break, that's great. But yeah, light element tanks in particular, I don't think you're going to be one-punching them without a little bit of a setup first with Hazard Break. Okay, I think that'll do it for the level 99 review of Super Sterne. I am having a ton of fun with him, but part of it is making good on the blood, sweat, and tears that went into leveling him up. If you are working on him, know that he is worth the effort, but that you have a few things to consider as far as team builds and then unit builds before you start using him. Alright, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again. Take care.